Hi, my name is Les Trackman. I'm with Purview. I'm sitting in my office on a rainy Sunday morning. I thought I might make some good use of this time and record a video for some of our clients and prospects. The topic of this video is the recording of a CD or DVD. CDs or DVDs are copied often for use in sharing of medical images or other medical documents. In this case, we're going to copy some medical images that we've received when we requested them from a medical institution. The topic is important because many of the attorneys and the subspecialists that we talk to who use copied CDs or DVDs don't actually realize how much it takes to make one of these copies. So what this video blog is going to do is it's actually going to record the actual duration of making a copy so that you can see that. And I'll give you some more information as we go. I'll give you a little dialogue as we go through it. For those of you who get bored along the way, you can fast forward towards the end and you'll see exactly how much time it takes to make one of these. I'm sharing my screen with you so you can see a timer that I'll get started as we get started copying this DVD. I'm using a MacBook Air, an M2 version, which is one of the most recent releases of the MacBook. So it's a very powerful machine with solid state disk drive. So it's very fast recording of disks. I have an external drive on this as well. The reason for that is most computers don't come with internal DVDs or CD drives anymore. And so I've got one, a super drive that's connected to a USB port on my MacBook Air. So without further ado, let's get started with this and you can at least begin to see this process. So I'm going to go ahead and start the timer and then insert the DVD in my super drive. So here we go. Okay, I've inserted the DVD. And as soon as the icon comes up, I will begin the duplication process. So the machine has to spin up a little bit, as most CD drives do. Okay, it's up on my screen, and I'm going to begin the process of duplicating. I'll also put the information up on the screen so you can see it. Move it over here next to the timer. You'll see that on this particular DVD, which is in what's called UDF, which is Universal Data Format, and that's how most CDs or DVDs come. Actually, DVDs come in that format. The total capacity is about 4.7 gigabytes, as I've noted. And on this DVD is about 1.4 gigabytes worth of DICOM data. So about a quarter full. When a drive has more volume than that, it takes longer to copy. But let's see how we're doing right now as we go forward with this. Let me see if I can get. Okay, sorry for that command there. But you can see we're actually copying onto the desktop, onto my desktop, all of it was over 3,000, probably closer to 4,000 different items. For those of you who know DICOM, you know that the studies are made up of a bunch of different actual pictures, or DICOM slides, as we call them. So 3,000 or 4,000 is not that crazy. A lot of CTs or MRIs end up with either hundreds or thousands of different slides comprising a single study. In this case, the DVD also has a bunch of ancillary files on it. Typically, it's got its own rudimentary viewer that will auto-execute on most Windows machines, not so much on Mac machines. But it will enable you to, at least using a rudimentary viewer, see the files that are on the drive. You can also copy those files and use them in your own desktop viewer, or you can use them in a cloud-based viewer, like one that we have here at Purview, called Purview Image. In any case, you can see we're nearing halfway done with the copy, and in this case, we're at 2.5 minutes for the copy. And again, once the copy is made to the desktop, we'll then have to burn it to the CD. We call it burning it because it is a write once drive. We call it write once, read mostly. That's a worm, if you will. And see up here in the right-hand side of my screen, I've got a fact that the disk is almost full. I'll get rid of that error message. Well, it's not an error message. It's an indication that the disk is almost full. But in any case, we don't need to worry about that in this particular copy. So you can see I'm now almost 900 megabytes into a 1.4 gigabyte volume. So we're still doing the copying. We're just exceeding 3 minutes in time. When this is completed, I will eject this disk, and then I will make a copy from the file that's on my desktop, or burn the copy that's on my desktop to a blank DVD that I've got here. From a cost point of view, these DVDs are relatively cheap. This is less than $1 for one of these. You can add a label to that and an envelope to that, and you're still only nearing about $1. If you're going to share it with somebody, you probably need to mail it to them or courier it to them. Mailing costs for media mail about $5 these days, something like that. And a courier is well over $50 for an overnight or two-day delivery. So it gets pretty pricey to deliver it that way. You also have to wait for the delay of the delivery time. And if you were able to do this electronically, which we would prefer to do, you can get it done instantaneously and basically for free. But in any case, duplication of these DVDs or CDs is typically how these are done these days, despite the technology advances that have occurred. Okay, looks like we've finished copying this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to eject the disk that we've copied from, because we have a single drive like most of you will have. I'm going to eject the volume that we've just copied from. As I noted, the file has been copied to the desktop. Okay, I'm going to put in my blank DVD, which will then appear as an icon. We're nearing 5 minutes now for the first copy onto the desktop itself. Let's wait for that, for the icon of the blank disk to come up. Let's see what happens. Okay, it's asking me to burn it to the disk. I'm going to make this title test. Oops, sorry. Test disk 1 vlog. For some reason it didn't like that DVD. I'm going to put in another one. Okay, I've got the process started burning. So you might take off a couple of seconds for the duplications that I've had of having to put a new DVD in the drive, or you might not, because that's a typical thing that might occur. And you can see that I'm now burning this volume. I didn't rename it again when I put in the new DVD, but it's writing track 1 right now. We're nearing 7 minutes of time so far. Looks like we're 3% done, now 4% done writing this new volume. We're at over 7.25 minutes for this copy so far. As I mentioned, this was a 1.4 gigabyte set of DICOM images. Again, not very uncommon. This was a standard issue. I believe this had 2 studies on it. Both were MRs, both were MRIs that came from a hospital system where we had made our request. And you can see we're about 16% finished now burning that new DVD. We're nearing 8 minutes. For those of you who are interested, the background on that screen that I'm sharing with you is the beautiful city of Florianópolis, Brazil. It's a place where some of the development that we do here at Purview gets completed. We have a great team down there. Okay, we're at 8.25 minutes right now. We're nearing 30% complete for the burn of our CD. We'll see how long this final duration takes. But as you can see, for those of you who are playing along with us as we do this video blog, this is not instantaneous. And this is a very typical amount of time that your team's spending on this. If you count up how much you pay somebody on an hourly basis and figure out how long it takes to make one of these, and then handle it as well before you do the mailing of it, you're going to see that it ends up being quite a good amount of invested time to get one of these done. We're not quite halfway done, and we've just exceeded 9 minutes of durational time to get this DVD burned. Just at 50% now, 9 minutes and 10 seconds or so when we got that done. So this does take quite a bit of time to burn a CD. Of course, it's hands-free, so you might argue that somebody could be doing something else. However, you probably don't want to interrupt the burning of the CD off of this particular computer. So perhaps you're using a second computer to do this, but you do need to keep track of this because you want to make sure that you get all of this right as you create these CDs and DVDs. What we have found, by the way, is that there often are errors in CDs, DVDs, or they get damaged in shipments. So you need to be careful on how you ship these as well. And the last thing you want to do is have to do this twice, which unfortunately happens well too often. But in any event, you'll see the total duration that it takes. We've just exceeded 10 minutes for this copying process. We're almost 3/4 of the way through the final copying sequence. You'll see, though, there is one more event that occurs after the copy is made, and that's a verification or validation that the copy has been made correctly. So it won't end right when we get to the writing portion of this that we're doing right now. So we're coming up on 10.5 minutes for this riveting video blog. We're just at 90% now of the write on the DVD occurring. And we're going to let this one finish up. We're nearing the end of the write period, coming up on 11 minutes to do that portion of the copy. So you're going to see it come up on the screen. We're finishing the burning of the CD now, right at about the 11-minute mark. There you go. Still going through the finish process, now exceeding 11 minutes. And now we're going through verification. So the verification process goes through the CD or the DVD in this case to make sure that we've burned it correctly, that it validates that or verifies that the data that we wanted to put on there is actually on the DVD. So now we're at 11 minutes, about 11.5 minutes, and we're just nearing 8% complete on the verification process. So you can see this verification process now is adding quite a few minutes to the duration. Now, if there was more volume, as I mentioned earlier, on the DVD, if it was closer to 4 gigabytes, that would add a significant amount of time to how long it takes to copy. So this is a relatively small DVD. Your typical CD has a capacity of about 700 megabytes. So this is about the equivalent of 2 CDs, all packaged together on one DVD. And that's how most medical images come these days, is on a DVD, or a UDF, as they call it, a universal data format, which is used often for the transport of these medical images. In this case, we're nearing 30%. We're at 12.5 minutes of duration since the beginning of when we started to make this copy. My guess is we're going to near 15 minutes for the whole process altogether, or pretty close to that. 15 minutes, pretty sizable chunk out of somebody's business day. If somebody's working an 8-hour day, you can do the calculation yourself of how much you're paying to get these DVDs done. If you do the calculation, take out my calculator while we're doing this, just so that we don't get bored in the rest of this video. Let's just say, for example, that we're paying this employee $50,000 salary a year, plus some ancillary benefits, usually amounting to about 25 to 30%. So we'll use 30% for that. So if it's $50,000 a year times 1.3, that's $65,000. Divide that by an approximate 2,000-hour work year, which is about, you can do the calculation yourself, but that's about what an employee works. So you're paying that employee $32.50 an hour. We'll wait and see what this ends up being, but let's just assume it gets us to 15 minutes. So that would be dividing that by 4. This is about an $8 process just in time alone, assuming that employee doesn't do anything else while they're making this copy occur. It's about an $8. It's like we might get up over 14 minutes or over 15 minutes to make this happen. But let's just say it's 15 minutes, about $8 in employee time to get this done. $8 in employee time plus the about $1 to make the for the actual raw materials, and then some amount to copy it. So we're going to near $10 for the copy itself, and then something in the range of $5 to $50 to mail it someplace. And that's assuming that we only have to do it once. Of course, if we make a mistake or it gets to the wrong place or it gets destroyed along the way, we'll probably have to do this again. So you can see we're coming down to the finish line, and we're going to near right around that 15-minute mark to make this copy. Probably a couple seconds past that. We're at 95% now, and we're nearing the finish line of 15 minutes. Okay, it's finished. I'm going to go ahead and just stop the timer because that's how long it took us. Look at that, just under within hundredths of a second of 15 minutes to make this. So you can see this is a reasonably tedious, time-consuming process, and it does cost real dollars. So call it $10 to make that CD, depending upon how much you actually have to pay somebody to do it and the cost of goods that go along with it. And then, of course, the cost to mail it. But thanks for listening along with this vlog today. I hope you enjoyed it, or at least I hope you got information out of it that is useful to you. Thank you.